this actually works. First time ever going live on YouTube and Facebook. Let's see if this actually works. Alrighty, looks like everything's working. I am live. Hey, everybody. If you're joining from YouTube, you're joining on the Comfort via Discomfort channel. On Facebook, you'll just see this right on my personal profile. Um, this is the first time that I've gone live on both of these platforms, especially at the same time. So I'm not sure if I'll be able to see the live comments as they come in. If anybody joins, if anybody doesn't, that's totally fine too. Uh, I just wanted to jump on here. I created, a lot of you may know already, some of you may not. I started the Comfort via Discomfort brand back in 2018. It was partially, mostly like it started as a very personal thing for me in terms of growing because I had no idea how to deal with stress, and I wanted to do a bunch of things outside my comfort zone to activate that fight or flight response and to really kind of see what I could do, but also learn how to get past fear and learn how to build up a mental resilience. It was like my mental boot camp in 2018. And when I went to Halt International Business School in 2018 through 2020, I started a club there. And so this whole comfort via discomfort idea has uh, really become part of who I am, part of my MO, if you will. People will still say comfort via discomfort when they see me, which is awesome. And in 2022, launched the Comfort via Discomfort podcast. If you haven't checked that out, I think there's like 60 episodes of that. I haven't posted any new episodes this year. Um, the first 2 years of the show was mostly interviewing guests about their stories, and took a break from that this year because I was basically spending half my time working professionally and half my time doing the podcast. I had hopes for the podcast being monetized within the first couple years, but that hadn't necessarily happened. Spending a ton of time working on it, and eventually got to a point where I just really needed to prioritize where my income was coming from. So put everything I could into my professional career and put the podcast on hold for a little bit. But the reason why I ever started this channel, especially this brand, and especially the channel on YouTube, was to hopefully inspire at least one person out there to go after the life that they really, really want, to try something new, to challenge themselves. And no matter what that is, it doesn't matter if that's, trying to apply for a new job, or asking somebody out, or going skydiving, or pushing through some grief. There's so many different things that put us outside our comfort zones. And the thought process for myself was to share my own stories, but also to share stories of other people, to really hopefully inspire some of you to go after some of those things that you always have thought that you've wanted to pursue, some of those things that uh, you think about, but don't always go after. So, anyways, the reason why I'm going live right now is because I have officially signed up for a 200-mile ultramarathon. And like I said, part of the reason why I started this channel was to share some of my own stories and to hopefully inspire people. And I haven't really been doing a whole lot of that over the last 2 years. It's mostly been sharing other people's stories, which is fine. I love doing that. Absolutely love learning from other people. And there are so many incredible people that have overcome so much that we can learn so much from and that we can be inspired by. But like I said, also part of this was to share my own stories. And one of the reasons why I put a pause on the podcast was because producing the shows that I was doing with the guests, it was taking a lot of time. And over the past 6 months, I've really missed doing the podcast. I really missed interacting with you online in whatever capacity that is. and I really want to get back into it. And over the past month or two, I've just put a lot of mental barriers in front of getting back into it, mostly being the time commitment. So this is my way of putting content out in the world and to connect with some of you again and to again share some of my stories. So the big thing that I am doing in 2025 is completing this 200-mile ultra marathon. My wife Shelby and I, this will be the second year that the race is actually happening. The inaugural year was this year, and my wife Shelby and I volunteered for it because there's a pretty big trail running community down here in Alabama, and so Shelby and I volunteered for it, and it was absolutely amazing. There were so many incredible people participating in this event, and it was truly, truly inspiring. And even a year or so before doing this event, I had seen, 150-mile or 200-mile race online, and I told Shelby, would it be crazy if I signed up for something like that? Like, I think it would be so cool if I could do something like that. And it's time to put my money where my mouth is, or put my action where my mouth is, I guess. So I completed a 50-mile ultra marathon last December. That was the first one that I had ever done, and it took me 21 and a half hours to complete. There was 10,000 feet of elevation. It was at Oak Mountain State Park in Pelham, Alabama. And yeah, it was incredible. It was such an amazing teacher. It pushed me. I really there were times where I really didn't think I was going to be able to complete it, but 90%, 95% of the time I was able to remain positive and accomplish that, which was incredible. Um, my running goes back a little bit further than that. I did my first marathon was in 2020 uh, in Miami, right before the pandemic started. I did another virtual one in October of 2020, and then I did the Detroit Free Press Marathon in October 2022. 2023 got into ultra marathons, and did my first 50 miler last December. And in that event, there was a 50-mile distance and a 100-mile distance. And for the last, I think it was 15 or so miles, I was running with somebody who was completing the 100-mile event, and just talking with him, it inspired me so much. And uh, just showed me that there was more, showed me that, I could push this to another level. So I said, okay. So, uh, on this journey to complete the 200-mile race, I've also signed up for my first 100-mile race, which I'll be doing in December. And then the 200-mile race will be in March. So, anyways, I will be going live probably every Sunday for, I don't know, somewhere between 5 minutes and an hour, most likely. I have no idea. I don't really have too much of a plan for this, but I'll be going live every Sunday, probably for somewhere under an hour. And I'm going to be sharing the entire journey. So I'm going to share, how I've built my training plan, the different components of it, including my running sessions, my weightlifting sessions, my nutrition, um, anything in between for that, my stretching, yoga, breath work, all that type of stuff. I'm also going to be sharing sort of how I'm progressing each week, what my setbacks are, any injuries I have, if there's anything that I might do differently, my reflections, and whatever else kind of comes up. If you do join the live sessions on Sunday, and you have any questions, obviously feel free to put those in the chat. I'll be answering those as I go along. But again, the reason for doing this, I want to preface, I really want to take a second to explain this a little bit, because in the past, I've definitely put things out on social media as like a, hey, look at me type of thing. Like, hey, this is what I'm completing. This is what I'm doing. I think I did a decent amount of that for my first marathon that I did in 2020. And so I thought a lot about whether or not I wanted to put this information out into the world. I wasn't sure if I was going to tell anybody, to be honest, about this 200-mile race. I at one point I was contemplating whether or not I was even going to tell my parents or my brother or my sister, and not to hide, not to, deceive them in any way, but simply to be like, no, this is me, this is my thing, like I'm just doing this behind the scenes. I'll, maybe I'll tell them about it after, because it's not about, telling the world and showing off whatsoever. Actually, it's about letting letting you in to see sort of what's happening behind the scenes. It's also to hold me accountable. I do really well when I tell other people what my goals are. It's just another layer to that accountability, so it helps me with that. And number three, and I think the biggest one of all, is that I hope that this inspires you in some way. I'm not up here saying that I'm like the best motivational speaker ever or anything like that. And I'm not trying to be. I'm simply trying to share my journey, and hopefully a little piece of it resonates with you. Maybe, one day that I go live, you join in and you think to yourself, you know what? I'm going to push myself. I'm going to go for a run today. Or, you know what? Adam's doing something that's pretty crazy. Maybe I'm going to, go after that job that I've always wanted. I don't know what it could be, but hopefully some part of this story will inspire you to push past your fear, or push through your fear, and to really kind of challenge yourself and go after something that you've always wanted to do. So, that's my sort of little intro video to this. Like I said, live on YouTube and Facebook. So I'll be doing this every Sunday. If you want to join, you're more than welcome to. Look forward to chatting with any of you that do join, answering any of your questions. I'm going to be sharing this information whether 100 people show up or nobody shows up. So come along with me on the journey if you'd like. Signing off for now. I'll see you next Sunday, and hopefully don't have any injuries to report at that time. All right, everybody. Comfort via discomfort, 200-mile race. My dad already thinks I'm nuts when I did the 50-mile race, so I can't wait to hear what he's got to say when I tell him that I'm doing a 200-mile race. Whether that's him finding out through this video or me calling him later on and telling him about it. So either way, it's going to be fun. All right. Hope to see you on the journey. Hope to, that one piece of this inspires you in some way. And here's to 200 miles.